can undermine democracy by making compromise impossible and transforming politics into a zero-sum game. Being a zero-sum game is simply saying that if I do not win, or if my position is not the one that takes the day, then no other thing can happen. And that can be a very dangerous position indeed. Is there a level that polarization can reach and begin to eat into itself? The elite can understand what is going on and perhaps know how to play the game. But the general public, those at the lower end of our society, might not understand some of these dynamics and would see anything that is derived against a person they see as their leader as an extreme act and want to hit back. The reason we are speaking about polarization is that just over a week ago, there was an incident and a video clip that was on social media that saw the twin brother to the spokesperson of the National Unity Platform, Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, being harassed by gentlemen and ladies who spoke like supporters of the embattled former president of the Party for Central Region, Honorable Matthias Mpuga. They went at Kato, and I think the message was clear. It was intended for Waiswa. On the morning show this morning, I have Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro. I said Waiswa, it's Waiswa in Lusoga. You're most welcome to the program.
I am glad to be here this morning, unhurt.
Unhurt.
It was a shocking morning, that morning, but
okay.
That is what we are.
All right, you will take us through what really happened, because I'm sure Kato was able to share some of his experiences. We also joined by Timothy Chimonges. Timothy Chimonges is an associate director at the Center for Policy Analysis. He's also an ardent watcher of the political space in the country. Maybe he has a perspective that should be able to help us thoroughly understand what polarization is, but how best it can be avoided in our case. You're most welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning to our viewers. I'm glad to be here and to discuss this very pertinent area of focus in our democracy.
You're most welcome. Let me begin with Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, the spokesperson of the National Unity Platform. Over the last 1 month, we've seen tensions within the leading opposition party in Parliament, occasioned by decisions including the dismissal of the party's deputy president for Buganda region, that is Honorable Matthias Mpuga, the Honorable MP for Masaka, Nyendo Mukungwe, to be specific. He's also a parliamentary commissioner. The aftermath of the fracas that led to his dismissal has polarized the party, that's the National Unity Platform, to the extent that the man in the eye of the storm himself has suggested that it's about time that the party, and he described this as the party's rank and file, understand his next position or move. This speaks to one thing, that he maybe understands that he has a following, and this following might not agree with what the party does, or even what the principal, or how the principal is dealing with this particular issue. Before I come to the specific incident that happened to your twin brother, the tensions within the party have factionalism beginning to rear its ugly head. You might say no, but that is the reality.
I am baffled by the perception that there are factions. We are clear it is in the National Unity Platform and its core values versus those who negated them. And we are not apologetic for enforcing what we believe in. Corruption is corruption. Abuse of office is abuse of office. First, the argument was about the law. We won the law. It was about morality. We beat them at that. Now they are on the street. We shall get there. But we cannot run away from the facts. The country has now condescended to the fact that there were irregularities by the members of the Parliamentary Commission in awarding to themselves those sums of money amounting to 1.7 billion. First they called it social media. Later it involved even the head of state to look at the expenditure of the monies. People started hiding around people's backs. So it is not true that there are factions, because factions would be divisions on ideology. If there are divisions on ideology, then you discuss factions. But our ideology centered on people power still stands. It is firm from its foundation. It has not been shaken, neither broken. But most importantly, you should look at the criminality and the indiscipline of the other individual, not as a faction, but as a personal liability of indiscipline and involving himself in a criminal act that is liable to criminal prosecution. If we heard that the IGG was to investigate, but we know the IGG is a toothless barking dog. The office has manifested itself from all the time, from the time of Chogam, from the time of the Justice Mliagonja. She was candid. She told you, whenever you're going to run after these people, they run and hide behind the person of Genome 7. So it is not true that we have factions in the party. The party is whipping, indiscipline, and that cannot amount to a faction.
All right, Timothy Chimonge, when I listen to Alex Waiswa Mafumbiro, what I hear is a deputy spokesperson speaking. The realities on the ground are totally different. And from your vantage point, so to speak, as the Center for Policy Analysis, you see a growing rift within the opposition party, don't you?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the idea of factions largely is comprised either of ideas, but also in principle, it could be as a result of grievance.
Okay.
And what we're seeing with the NUP is that there is a group of people who are supporters of a specific individual feeling disgruntled. And broadly speaking, this is a product of failed mechanisms of resolving conflict. And to that, there is that group feeling we've not been treated well, or in a manner that we should have been treated. And so I think that there's a growing rift, and that is generating but also bringing on board factions which are a product of supporters to specific individuals. Now, it's also very unfortunate that we are getting where we are at, or where we are heading to, probably even in a worse state, where conflict becomes a way of resolving issues. Alex, it's true that the continued positioning of the party and saying there are no factions, I think that it's a factor to avoid what is really happening. And I think that the party should be able to have mechanisms of addressing these issues that are arising. Otherwise, tomorrow you'll see, I've seen members of parliament, those that are allied to Matthias Mpuga, coming out very clearly, and they do have supporters as individuals. The party has supporters as the party. But also, more importantly, we know that our politics are individual-based. NUP also, the members subscribe to NUP, but also there are factors contributing to that. There are individuals who they align with their ideas. And so the question of factions that support a specific individual is not a thing that can be disputed. Now, we can only get worse if these things are not addressed. The supporters of Matthias Mpuga, I've seen the other members of parliament. Their supporters in a way feel disgruntled. And as you clearly say, now they've gone to the public, and probably, again, that's also another arena that conflict will be addressed, which is a very wrong direction for the party, but also more importantly for where we are at as a country. And so I think it's unfortunate, but this is a product of failure to address conflict, failure to address issues that are arising in the party, and we can only get worse. I could see in the run yesterday a section of either supporters or people trying to, bring the politics of the day in the even in the run, and this is very messy, and it doesn't look any better for our democracy.
Great.
I am very disturbed always and extremely perturbed by the elitism and the escapism on the reality on the ground. I am clear, and we are clear, there is no faction. Why don't you speak about the vice of corruption? There is no conflict. The party did not start up any war to its door. It is whipping indiscipline. Now, institutions are bigger than individuals. That is the cardinal principle of working states and countries. Institutions must be greater than individuals. And you are here lecturing us to magnify an individual who is on the wrong side as a conflict. I mean, that is not true. The party can only prosper if it stands on its core values, no matter the number. We are anchored on those core values, and we have had sacrifice. You're speaking about supporters of an individual who has been bribed to betray the lives of those that we have lost. On the 19th and the 18th of November, 54 Ugandans were murdered in this struggle. Okay? We have people like Rita now Kenya who started this struggle without any intention of having any position. Okay? And if you are telling us that because somebody is mightier than the party, we cannot whip that person when indiscipline arises, give us a break. That is not the National Unity Platform. We cannot begin to develop capacity from the wrong beginning. We want to give a country a new breather, which is corrupt-free. We want to attack the corrupt without anybody blackmailing us, and you're stopping us from taking action where criminality has been cited. They spoke about the law.
Mr. Mfumbira.
We espoused the law.
Yeah.
They spoke about morality. Even here, it was immoral. But Mr. Chemongo's here will scatter around the whole world and fail to apportion blame. Okay, the party, if you want to say, was high-handed.
I must be very specific.
But can you apportion blame to the before being elitist? Can we apportion blame to the criminality?
Now,
of awarding themselves something that has never been heard of.
If I may be clear about rather apportioning blame or putting anybody to the pedestal, as the media and watchers from across board, the legitimacy or legality of any one act by Parliament is something that is well discussed within the parameters that Parliament offers and any other law that is attendant to issues of legislation. What we are looking at right now is the handling of the aftermath of this.
Of criminality.
Yes, the aftermath. So we cannot be taken back to acknowledge the criminality that is being dealt with another section that is supposed to deal with that. But for us, we want to understand this is the aftermath of that particular incident that has caused a rift, that has even led to your own twin brother being attacked on account.
Yes, and that is not being civil.
It's not being civil.
It's not something we should be proud of.
But the reality here
that is being uncivil.
The party,
and it's
things have
unfortunate.
reached that extent
Yes.
where people want to attack you.
No, it's not about the party. This is bigger than the party. Don't even discuss this as the attack on my brother as the party. No, these were not people. Were these donning our party colors? These were people putting on kanzus. These were people going to Mengo. Okay? So let's not run away from that. Let's not apportion that blame to the party. This was not about our party. This was this is personal liability.
So let me
this is Mr. Mpuga and his machination.
Let me ask
tell
this
you.
Question. Has the party addressed the incident in which people who claim to be supporters of Matthias Mpuga attacked an individual they thought was you?
Well, internally as a party, I have personally spoken to comrade leaders, but it's not something that the party has taken concern about. This criminal act every day, it's what we live by on us. We are only glad that today people think we are human beings, we can discuss it, but it is what we face. Some of our brothers have not made it. They have died. You're lucky that was on camera. Somebody would say we are playing an act. So for us, that is, in this struggle, that is why we are very, very, very serious when it comes to anybody who acts with treachery against this cause. Because there is sacrifice. And I can tell you, this act does not come out of ignorance. This act is orchestrated on my life, on my person, and probably also on my family. I can tell you, when I was attending a talk show on NBS with Kulaije, Geno Kula, is he a Geno?
Not sure.
As a brigadier general.
Kulaije and the regional RCC is now not the regional commissioner of RDCs, Abamwine. We had a show, and when it ended, I went to the restroom, but I went to the extreme. So as I was there, this entered, and their conversation against me was really, really, really not something that...
You overheard individuals discussing you
yes,
and
the spokesperson of the army and the commissioner after the show were discussing about my life, my existence.
That's an allegation you're making on national television.
And I am the one making the allegation.
Okay.
I can tell you, when I was still on the barometer a few weeks ago, the Minister Kasolo told me on Open TV, it's on public record, that I was to be attacked.
Wait a minute, you overheard. Let's first stay on
that.
The
first time I overheard about attempts.
What did you hear?
Probable attempts on my life.
What did you hear?
That it was not something that they would rule out, because they were speaking the Western language. Yeah, that my life, there could be an attempt on my life by the spokesperson of the military. Now, so if you talk about, and this is what we live by, and as I've said, some people have been buried. So we cannot be bigger than the cause. It is the idea that must always be bigger. And anybody who harms the idea definitely will be crushed. He or she will be crushed, even if it is myself. Because people like Rita Nab Kenya, people like Yasin Kauma, people like Dan Chaine, people like Sweet Pepsi, you know, there is Mutiabule, there is no price. There is no price that we can condescend with over the lives of those persons. People who are in prison, today they are semantics of how they want to have it their way, and have our comrades who have been in prison for over 2.5 years with no offense whatsoever, abducted in drones, and then somebody sits, as that is happening, awards themselves money, and then you want the party has liability on its own, because it is us who sent the Honorable Mpuga to that commission. It is us who sent him to the office of, to the parliament as leader of opposition. So if he abuses our trust, first
Alex,
before he gets the trust of Ugandan and parliament,
Alex,
there is trust of those who have delegated you or designated you to that office. So if you abuse that trust, then definitely you must be ready for the repercussions.
All right, as a political
party,
the responsibilities that lay on your shoulders are enormous. It could be, one, to act on what you believe are errant party members. Two, how you deal with those errant party members and the aftermath of their actions or reactions to anything. But allow me, Crafting, Timothy Chimonges, I'm also receiving breaking news that the police is rounding up a few individuals within the city. Let me first go to Stephen Mbide, the man who is on ground for us and is covering the strike that has traders protesting Uganda Revenue Authority's implementation and execution of the AFRIS arrangement. Good morning, Stephen. The Deputy Spokesperson of the National Unity Platform. So, Timothy Chimonges, in your very last words, we cannot hide away from the fact that political leaders in Uganda and in Africa in general tend to give off the impression that if I have ambitions for power, it doesn't matter. I must get an opportunity at the seat, to the extent that any tensions that come up within a political establishment are quickly used as an advantage for them to rise. And we saw that as statements that were made by Matthias Mpuuga in his press conference. Very quickly.
So, broadly speaking, political parties should be broader than individuals.
That's
in
right.
Principle. In the sub-Saharan Africa, broadly speaking, what we've been presented to is individual-based political parties, which compromises the stability but also the ability of the political party to address many of those issues.
That's right.
And Uganda is not an exception to that. We've seen what is happening to NUP, we've seen what's happening to DP and the other political parties. Where politicians hold and have a direction and determine how the political party moves, the level of entitlement arises, but also the ability to want some of the offenses, some of the things that they do, right or wrong, to be washed away. And I think that that is where we are at as a country. If you had political parties that are strong, and again, political parties are strengthened on four major things. One, on the ability to mobilize resources. Two, its membership. Three, the structures and the ability to enforce what the party deems or what goes against the constitution or the principle of the political party. Now, to that end, if NUP or any of these political parties feel that their member has done something wrong, they have the capacity and all the authority to crack the whip. Unfortunately, the individuals will always fight back. Because they will fight back.
All right. Timothy Chimonges, I'm afraid the time, the clock has run out for us. Alex Waisom Fumbiro, I'm going to beg your indulgence that you let me leave it at that. You've been very pragmatic in expressing the party's position. That is no doubt not questionable. And we hope that we can have this conversation and a lot more when we get an opportunity to. For you who's been watching right from 6:30, many thanks. You've been hearing Timothy Chimonges, Associate Director at the Center for Policy Analysis, as well as Alex Waisom Fumbiro, the Deputy Spokesperson of the National Unity Platform. NTV will continue to bring you updates on the developing story that is in Chikubo and, of course, across Kampala Business District and metropolitan areas. Traders are protesting against URA's execution of the AFRIS mandate. It's been a pleasure having your company. I'm Chris Higenyi. Have yourselves a lovely day. I'll see you tomorrow.